Although Halloween is a time of eating candy, trick-or-treating, and costume parties, its real origins were to mark the beginning of the dark, cold winter, which was usually associated with death. And it seems like each year there's a new Halloween story that just reminds us of its dark origins. So today I compiled a list of the previous Halloweens and created the top 10 most disturbing Halloween facts. I'm your host Andrew, and let's get right into this. At a number 10 spot, we have the rise of fascism. Yup, we're starting this list with an eye-opener. During October 1922, Italian fascist party leader Benito Mussolini decided it was time to overrule the Italian government, and he planned what is now known as the March on Rome. This occurred from October 27 all the way until Halloween Day, where Mussolini was appointed prime minister by the king himself. He planned this march in the first place in order to fulfill his threat that read, quote, "Either the government will be given to us, or we shall seize it by marching on Rome." Although they did this by somewhat peaceful, non-combat means, the fascist party of Italy was far from good. For example, in 1935, Mussolini planned to take over the country of Ethiopia, but he would use poisonous gas to achieve these goals, which inevitably resulted in over 20,000 casualties. Then, as we know, they basically became the puppet for Germany in World War II, and we all know about the things they did. You know, guilty by association. In the end of the day, his rule was all over the place and could be considered corrupted depending on what side of him you want to see. Number 9, the end of the Spanish flu. 1918 wasn't the best time to live in, especially if you had a bad immune system, because this is the time when one of the most lethal viruses spread internationally. Specifically, Halloween in 1918 marked the end of the deadliest month of the virus. The Spanish influenza is still named the most devastating pandemic in human history, and this title suits it well, because this ended up infecting about 500 million people worldwide, which amounted to 1/3 of the world's population. Holy. October was special in this case because it was basically the second wave of the pandemic, which is typically supposed to be a lot worse, and it really was. Although there is no official death count, it was estimated that as many as 200,000 Americans lost their lives due to the virus in October alone. And no, these weren't old people with health issues. Many of these were healthy, functioning 20 and 30-year-old people. In the end of the day, the virus took the lives of over 50 million people worldwide, and it's just crazy to think that this really happened. This is basically our modern version of the Black Plague, especially with the fact that some people would roam the streets with an open cart reading, quote, "Bring out your dead." At number 8 spot, we have Harry Houdini's passing. Harry Houdini is probably the most famous magician and escape artist of all time, and that's without a doubt. His name was solidified in the entertainment industry since his birth in 1874. Many of you don't know that he actually passed away on Halloween Day 1926. This all happened after he decided to visit McGill University in Montreal, Canada. He then invited some of the students into his dressing room and asked one of the students to deliver their deadliest punch. He would reassure everyone by telling them that he could take it. This is when a student and boxer named Jocelyn Gordon Whitehead stepped up to the occasion and started to deal heavy punches at Houdini's midsection. This would be a detrimental mistake, as Houdini would pass away a week later on Halloween Day. His cause of death was due to an abdominal infection, which is associated with a ruptured appendix.
That's how Houdini died, you know.
And regardless of what many people think, it wasn't really the punch that killed him, but the fact that he didn't receive any medical help immediately, and there was a lot of bad timing involved. At our number 7 spot, we have a predicted murder. On Halloween Day 1981, inside of a Manhattan home, a double murder took place that could have been prevented if they had listened to a serial killer. Okay, I know that first line doesn't sound right, but it is. So American serial killer David Berkowitz, otherwise known as the Son of Sam, told the police weeks before the double murder that he was a puppet to a very large satanic cult and that they're going to torture and perform a ritual killing on Halloween Day. And obviously they couldn't care less about what this guy had to say. He was in prison for murdering 6 people, and do you know what his reason was? It was because one of his neighbor's dogs was possessed by a demon and just told him to do so. But back to the double murder he predicted. On the early morning of Halloween in 1981, 39-year-old Ronald Sisman and 20-year-old Elizabeth Platzman were beaten and shot to death. David predicted all of this, including the exact apartment layout, and when police questioned Ronald Sisman's friends, they said that he never met with David or was he a part of any satanic cult. Number 6, Halloween on ice. On Halloween night 1936, inside of the Indiana State Fairgrounds Coliseum, a propane gas explosion caused the deaths of 74 people and injuring 400 more. While everyone was enjoying the holiday Day on Ice skating exhibition, no one had any idea that propane gas was leaking from a rusty tank. Eventually, the gas came into contact with an electric popcorn machine, which caused an instant burst of energy, causing concrete seats and body parts to fly 40 feet up in the air. Indianapolis Star reporter Richard R. Roberts reported the events of the night and described the tragic aftermath as a horrific scene, writing, quote, "You walked into a nightmare. This was the worst thing I've seen since combat in World War II." Right in the hump for our list, we have Candyman. This is a cautionary tale for kids not to dig right into their Halloween candy. He is the sole reason why we have to take extra precaution for this. The legend differs depending on who you ask. In one legend, it said that if you say his name 5 times, he will appear right behind you and take your life with his hook. In another legend, he poisons and puts other hazardous items inside of children's candy. The truth of this urban legend is revealed in many different stories, so the narrative changes. They say that many years ago, Candyman was a black slave named Daniel Robitel. He was a very talented painter, and he decided to paint a picture for the plantation owner's daughter, in whom he madly fell in love with. When the owner found out, he brought his racist friends to hunt him down. They would eventually get to him and cut off his hand, which explains his hook for a hand.
Candyman was stung to death by the bees.
Number 4, candy razor blades. So you all remember when you were kids and you went trick-or-treating and your parents would try to check your candy for razor blades, and we all kind of just thought it was a myth. But really, it is true. In Ohio, one Halloween night, a child was sorting through their Halloween candy when they cut their finger on a blade in the candy bag. They went to the hospital for stitches and no one else was injured. The blade was hidden inside of the wrapper of a candy bar. The same night in Waterbury, Connecticut, police arrested a man after razor blades were found in the bottom of 2 trick-or-treater candy bags. Number 3, the assassination of India's Prime Minister. In 1966, Indira Gandhi was elected as the 3rd Prime Minister and is still the only female to be Prime Minister in India. She advocated to remove poverty and promote equal rights for all. As well, she also came out with the decisive victory over Pakistan in the Indo-Pakistani War. However, Halloween 1984 is when her powerful rule came to a sudden end. This is when she ordered an army raid on a very holy Sikh temple in order to remove armed Sikh extremists. She knew this was going to get widespread backlash, so she ordered a lot of her Sikh counterparts to be transferred, except one of her bodyguards named Bent Singh was to be transferred as well since he was Sikh, but since Indira trusted him, she kept him. Obviously, making someone go against their own religion is never a good thing, and this proved to be a very detrimental mistake. When the time was right, he alongside with another bodyguard waited for the right opportunity to assassinate her. They waited as she passed the gate they were stationed at before opening fire on her, killing her immediately. Number 2, a real Halloween decoration. In 2005, a 42-year-old woman in Delaware took her own life by hanging herself from a tree across the street from a residential area. Though the body was easily visible to everyone walking on the sidewalk and even passing vehicles, it took a while until people called the police, and when they did, state police spokesman Jeff Oldman and neighbors said people noticed the body around 7:30 a.m. that morning, but they just dismissed it as a holiday prank. They assumed the woman swaying in the wind was a Halloween decoration and it was not real. I mean, did they even try to go and check up and see up close? Because I'm pretty sure if they did that, they could definitely tell the difference. Number 1, wrong door. 25 years ago, 16-year-old Japanese exchange student Yoshiro Hattori dressed up as John Travolta's character from Saturday Night Fever. Then he headed out on a Halloween party in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Tragically, he was mistakenly dropped off at the wrong house, and the homeowner panicked by this unexpected visitor, and then he shot and killed Hattori. The homeowner was later acquitted of any wrongdoing, and Hattori's mother, Maiko, commented on the 20th anniversary of her son's death, quote, "I've been observing American society for the past 20 years. The ongoing situation there has been incomprehensible to Japanese. I want to encourage more ways to adopt gun control." Well, these are the top 10 disturbing Halloween facts. Would you be dressed up as Halloween? Let me know in the comment section below, and don't forget to like and subscribe to this video for some more content. I'm your host Andrew, and I hope you guys have a scary day.
And a happy Halloween to you as well.